Good morning. Good morning, everyone. I'm a little bit late, so thank you for joining me. Thank you for your patience. I just was getting some things together, so thank you for joining me. My name is Dr. Brad, and whether you're joining me here through Clubhouse or if you're on my live stream through my Breath Space page, thank you for joining me in another opportunity for us to sit together, another opportunity for us to come together and practice. So I invite you, if you just clicked on this room or if you join me, to take a moment and pause and ask, what is your intention for today? And many times we're searching for something, we are looking for something that might make us feel more comfortable, more at ease, decrease our anxiety. Before we begin any practice, it's really helpful to identify what our intention is, what is our goal. Now, I remember growing up, I remember a time when my father, he must have been maybe in his 50s at the time, he said, "I'm too old to change." And I heard that line for the next 30 years. I bring that up because many people say to me, "I don't know if I can change," or "I'm this kind of person." We identify with our personality. It's as if our personality is fixed. The way we are, whether we call ourselves anxious or unlovable, seems to get fixed and stagnated. We think this is the way we are, and that's the way it's always going to be. The challenge with that is it doesn't really address what is personality? Who are we? Who do we think we are? I also know from my years of practice, as well as my years as a clinician and a human being, that who we say we are isn't always that way. We are pretty inaccurate historians about our own personality. Many times people will say, I just can't relax. And then they fail to recognize all the times they do practice disengaging. Or they'll say, I'm just an anxious person. And fail to recognize all the times when they're really at peace. The other one I hear frequently is, I'm too sensitive. I'm always sensitive, and I'm so easily triggered. Or that I have low self-esteem. I don't think enough about my worth. The challenge to that is there are many times when other people or different groups might claim that we're not worthwhile. As a naturopath, there's a lot of people out there who think that naturopathic medicine is not real or valid. As a man, there's so many different things where there are groups of people who will say, oh, we're not worthy, we're not worthwhile. And yet at times, that doesn't even impact us. But if somebody just said I was a bad professor, that might hit me because I believe it myself. So where am I going with all of this? One of the reasons we come to meditation, we come and sit, is that it is a practice. And I was going to speak a little bit more about the research, but I'm not going to do that today. I want to get into practice. There is research that with dedicated practice, we can shift our personality traits. We can. But it takes practice, just like any elite athlete or musician will tell you. So let's do a practice today of mindfulness, but also to start to examine who we think we are. Okay, so let's ready ourselves. I'm going to take a sip of my matcha here because I didn't have my matcha yet. And then I'm going to invite everyone listening here to find a stable posture. Now, we start with posture in so many schools of meditation because our posture changes throughout the day and our posture can change our mood and our thoughts. So, find an upright posture that you can maintain for the next 20 minutes or so. And almost every school of meditation will tell you we want to have elongated spine. We want to have elongated spine. We want the shoulders to fall away from the ears. They're not earrings. We want to soften the mouth, the jaw, the lips, the tongue. So you can just place the tongue gently behind the upper teeth on the roof of the mouth to decrease a little bit of the saliva production. Rock your pelvis back and forth if you'd like, just to say, okay, am I sitting on my tailbone? Am I arching my back? And if you need today, prop yourself up against some pillows or a wall. If you're sitting on a floor in any form of cross-legged position, make sure that the knees are below the hips. And if you're sitting on a chair or stool like I am, feet flat on the floor. Spine elongated, shoulders fall away. Head back, ears over the shoulders if you can. And we often recommend just looking down, about 14 inches in front of you. You can keep your eyes fully closed or just partially open, whichever works for you. And yes, I'm taking some time to talk about our posture. As I'll say again, change our posture, you will change your mood. Ooh, and maybe you will change who you think you are. And so changing the posture, elongating it. Now, I hope that it's not forced. Sitting upright can be difficult if muscles are shortened or contracted. So find a gentle posture. And then you can just scan your body in any order that you like and just search for areas of muscle gripping and tension that are not serving you right now. They could be habitual. They can be conditioned. And on an exhale, see if you can invite the tension to dissolve. And so we're dealing with our posture and our muscles. And to stabilize the mind, let's take a few minutes here to allow the focus of our attention to rest gently on the breath. Do you notice how the breath might have changed the moment I said the breath? Do you feel any shift in posture and in muscle tension when you bring your attention lightly to the breath? Invite you to just turn your gentle spotlight focus on the breath as it comes in and it goes out without any need, any desire to shape it in any way. We're befriending the next breath. If that seems a little too open for you, you can invite the mind to be engaged by asking the question, how do I know I'm breathing? What experience, what qualities of sensation are telling me, oh, hey, there's an in-breath. That's an out breath. We practice this mindful attention on the breath as a precursor, as a stabilizer of our attention, so that we can begin to explore more deeply who we think we are. Turn your attention gently on the next sensation of breathing, whether it's at the nostrils, feeling the coolness of the air as it flows in past the hairs of the nostrils, the skin, as it's warmer on the way out. Now, if you're like me, hundreds of thoughts, well, maybe not hundreds, but maybe, have just carried your attention away for a millisecond or even for several seconds or minutes. When that happens, the first thing is see if you can bring it back to the breath. But if the physical sensation arises that's very strong, I feel an ache in my neck, or a pull in the knee, or a itch on the face, allow the spotlight to shine on that for just a moment. Without needing to fix it, we're not trying to get rid of it or make it go away or follow it. We don't have to empower it and say, yes, I need to give you all my attention and do whatever you say. We're simply saying, oh, there's that ache. Can I describe the quality of it? Can I be present to it? And once I notice it, I find that there's a little bit more space and I can come back to the breath. If a strong emotion engages your attention, you can ask, where do I feel that in my body? Come back. Where do I feel that? Impatience, irritation, worry, or love. Where do I feel that in my body? And rest your attention there for just a moment. By bringing it back to the body, you begin to see that all these sensations, all these emotions, and what we'll get to next, all these thoughts, are really embodied. They live in our body. It's rare that we have a thought without a change in our posture, muscles, or breath. Come back to this next breath. And note if there's any thoughts that occur simultaneously. Are there any thoughts or judgments about the breath? It could be criticism. I'm not doing this right. My mind is dancing around. Please note, if that's a narrative that is popping up right now, in no way is it one that I'm supporting. Your mind will wander. We're becoming friends with that. So if you think that, or you're going, yes, I'm doing it, I'm focusing, notice the thought. And come back to the breath. So we're using the breath as an anchor to stabilize our attention, to gain some skill, some proficiency at focusing, at concentrating, and directing that spotlight. We're also training ourselves that when other distractions arise, we can simply note them and come back gently to the breath. Now, this is just one type of meditation. It's mindfulness meditation. But I want to spend the rest of the time today in analytical meditation. Analytical meditation is where we ask a question, we explore, we examine, and simply watch what arises. When we focus on the breath and the physical sensations, those physical sensations are our object, our anchor of focus. As an object, it's something we observe. So is it us? Those physical sensations of aches and pains and ease, they too are objects of observation. Is that who we are? And even these thoughts that we don't necessarily control, they just arise and fall away. Are we our thoughts? So even as I'm saying this, some of you might be going, but I am this kind of person. Notice where that resides in your body. Is it a defiance that tightens the chest and the arms, the fists? Is it a collapse and a difficulty breathing? So my question I pose to you is, if you are observing your breath, your body, your emotions, your thoughts, who is doing the observing? Where is the observer? So for the next few moments here, I'm inviting us to turn our attention, our consciousness, if you will, and direct it back at itself. Who is thinking these thoughts? Where is our consciousness? Do you experience it? Do you have an image of it in your brain? Is it above you, behind you? Is it throughout your body? If any time you feel that your attention is too tight, you feel like you're gripping mentally, then you're probably gripping physically and with the breath. So come back, soften. You can always shake it out again. Begin again. Who is thinking these thoughts? What is the quality of your consciousness, your attention right now? Are you able to keep it as vast and open as you did with your breath, where you just watched the breath arise and fall? Can we simply observe the observer? And for some of us, this might be a bit of a challenge or a leap, and just see if you can. Can you step in the observer? If the observer is watching the breath, the body, the thoughts, it says pain is present, anxiety is present, calm is present. We say it differently than I am anxious, because the observer is watching these things. Therefore, when we step into the observer, the object falls away, and it simply is, I am. If you find this a bit challenging, you can always come back to the body and to the experience of the body. Feel yourself sitting or feel yourself breathing. The observer is watching you breathe. The observer is watching thoughts as they arise and they fall away. And they do fall away. Let's spend just another minute here, either turning our consciousness back towards itself, watching the observer, noticing the observer, or practicing stepping into that space of the observer and I am. And as one of my teachers once said, when I said, I don't know if I'm doing it, she said, just go into the neighborhood, see what happens. Now, to come out of this meditation, we want to do so slowly, not too rapidly. Begin by noticing the body breathing. Bring your consciousness and direct it gently to the next breath in and the breath out. Begin to expand that awareness now to your borders, your skin, all of your skin, the part that's covered with clothes, the part that's exposed to the air, that's covered with hair. Feel into your skin and then begin to bring your awareness around the skin, the air, the temperature, the weight. Now, before we open our eyes if they're closed, before we come back into the room, I invite you to take a moment to think about this practice today. That our posture, our muscles, and our breath do affect our mood. We stabilized our attention by coming into the breath and feeling it. We noticed our sensations, our emotions, our thoughts as they arise, and recognize that they're objects of our attention, of our consciousness. And as objects, they are not the observer. So throughout the day, whenever you find yourself saying, I am this way, I invite you to pause for a moment and ask yourself, who is thinking that thought? And how do I know that thought is present? So slowly, let's take a deeper breath consciously, intentionally. On the exhale, if you haven't already, you can open your eyes slowly. Take your time before looking around. Notice that impulse to want to just dive into the next thing we do. As always, thank you for joining me. Thank you for being here with me. May all beings everywhere be safe. May all beings everywhere be healthy. May all beings everywhere know peace. And may all beings everywhere go gently, knowing their goodness. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll be here Monday and Thursday next week at 8 a.m.